Hello and welcome to Deliberately Creative. I'm Stephanie and I'd like to welcome you to this special edition of Deliberately Creative. Is it really special if I keep having specials? Let me know in the comments. So this time we're doing Color of the Year. I'm doing this through the Creative Arts Collaboration in their Color of the Year art crawl. So hashtag CAC Color of the Year and come on with me and let's go see the project. Oh, thank you so much for joining me. So today we are going to be doing a juicy lime. And you would think that a lime would end up being this really, really vibrant, bright lime green. But lime is actually not that bright. I've got a picture here from Pixabay. And if you look, this is not a brilliant bright green. Now, if you look at the lemon here is eye-popping. But the lime is much more subtle. It's much more, there's actually a lot of blue tone to this green. And even in this peeling here. But when you hold these up to the Color of the Year, which is called greenery, it goes right along with it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to do a juicy lime. All right, so we're going to put in very lightly the wedge of lime, which is not quite a half circle. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. Let's zoom in. How's that? Now you can see that a little bit better. And then there's this area that's partway up. That's that white membrane, the pithy area. And there's a little divot in the center. Yeah, you can barely see that. You'll see more of this as I'm going along. At the base of each of these little wedges, it sort of is bumpy, but we're not going to worry about that. What we're worrying about right now is just putting a random number of wedges, and when we do, we're going to kind of round off these corners of the sections. And we're going to put those wedges right close up to each other. There we go. And the neat thing, you could have a wedge that got partly cut through. This one here could have been partly cut through also. And then my circle, I think it's about this big. It's about the size of a small Mod Podge jar. And I'm sort of lining this up at the so that it's on an imaginary line with the base of that wedge. And I'm not going to draw through the wedge that I have there. I'm just going to come around. See, if you have an opportunity to use something, and you notice this is not a perfect circle because I don't draw perfect circles. And I'm not going to worry about being perfectly centered for my center. But I'm going to go ahead and sketch that line for the pith. Now I'm going to be erasing back most of these lines so that they're barely visible. But for right now, so that you can see, I'm hoping that I'm drawing dark enough. And it looks like I am. Now what makes this nice here, putting that circle line around and having the center, is that you have places to aim for. You're going to draw radiating lines out from that center to make the wedges. And you will be rounding those corners. So I'll come down and sort of round that corner, come down, sort of round the corner. Wedges of these sections can be random sizes. and they don't have to match on the other side of the circle. I did that. I chose this because in nature, you don't have as much order as you think you do. And I like leaving a little bit of stuff up for chance. And now you can take this design draw it in with pen, color it with crayons. Do whatever makes your heart happy. I think I'm going to use color pencils, and I might slap a little bit of watercolor on for the background. I know I don't usually put backgrounds, but I was thinking that might be pretty. And there's just a tiny little corner of that one right there. So there we go. We have our wedge and the half of a lime. Easy peasy. So now I'm going to go ahead and lift off some of that color of the graphite because I don't really want it to mix in too much with the colored pencil since we're using fairly light colors. But that way you can see, you can still see it. And what I want to do is I'm going to get my outside of this lime color drawn on. I picked up the Kelly green to start off with. And in the Pantone color of the year, the actual color in Prismacolor that is closest to the color of the year is the apple green. But because greenery can mean so many different things to so many different people, no one is going to see the same color in it. Now there's an official way to mix this color up. And if you were using paints, you would be using a blue and a yellow and a bit of a white to sort of dull it down just a bit. Now I've given you the outline for the outer edge of the peel. But the peeling is actually speckled. When you look at this edge going straight down at it, it actually looks like little circles all stacked up together. So I'm taking the yellow Chartreuse, which is a brilliant, bright, bright yellowy green, and I'm just making little dots going around the edge of that peeling. There we go. It's kind of fun to look at things and to see the tiny details. We will be using a colorless blender in this yellow Chartreuse and the apple green and the Kelly green. And let's see, there's also going to be a little bit of light green and some regular Chartreuse and possibly even some moss green. I'm going to go over to the wedge and do the same thing, get these little bumps, because if you look at the peeling here, you can see these little speckles all along in that edge of peel. And that's what I'm looking at here, is that edge right here. I'm not doing the water drop in this one, but one of the things that is really going to help people out, I think, is if you have watched a few of my previous Doodle Gem videos, you'll see that a lot of the skills you've been learning in those other videos are going to help you out here. Because of the way we're going to layer colors and make shiny bits, the pulpy bits in here, each little bag of pulp that's all joined together to make the sections. Each little pulp is like a mini jewel. Now I am not worried about making perfectly thick peel here. The peeling can be a little thicker, a little thinner, and I'm sort of swirling this apple green in around that light chartreuse and filling in the spaces around and coloring over some of them. Works out really nice because that chartreuse is just so bright that it will still pop through. It will still pop through. And being that this is a cold winter day that I'm doing this video, I wanted to think of something more summery and light. And juicy green limes, a tall pitcher, an adult beverage or limeade, all mean summertime. They all mean fun and friends and getting together out in nature. And I think that's one of the things that they sort of intended with this color, the greenery color, is to help people to see it as something to de-stress, help you focus on nature and being out in more peaceful environments. I'm just sort of strengthening up this outside line just a tiny bit with the same apple green. And I'll go back over it again with other colors, but I just want to thicken that line up on the outside just a smidge. And this particular doodle, it's a doodle, is going to end up with white being the white paper, almost like a watercolor. I'm going to leave the white as a white paper. And now I want to grab the regular chartreuse and lightly go in. And yes, chartreuse is a bright green. It is. But this is going to get dulled down a little bit. And I'm going to try and leave a little margin between each of the sections. Just a little bit. And it will become more apparent when I put some shadowing in that I'm leaving those sections. Because there's a membrane that goes between each section. And I'm going to try and leave it white. And then I'm just giving it a color in. I'm just outlining it and then giving it a color in. And I'm doing this on watercolor paper. Watercolor paper does a couple things for me. It allows me to go in and do a little watercolor wash at the end for a background. And it also helps with giving a little bit of texture to the pulp. I am going to use the Colorless blender to smooth it out and make it look more shiny. It's actually going to be very similar to a gem for each of these sections, but not quite, because I am not going to completely smooth out each of the sections. But I am going to be putting highlights and shadows in just like a gem. And I'm thinking maybe I'll draw for another video, do a nice tall picture or a glass of lemonade and limeade, do a lemon, do a lime, do a fancy orange. Does that sound good? Would you like to see that? Oh, that's looking pretty though. That's already looking really, really pretty. And it's looking very pulpy just from the texture of the paper. I like that. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and pop over to this wedge, because remember, I'm trying to take care of both of these things at the same time. If you can take care of multiple sections of your picture at the same time, when you've got a color that's going to be needed in both sections or in multiple sections, you can go ahead and do them. I've got that Chartreuse in my hand. I might as well do the things that need Chartreuse. And then that little bit of a wedge that's just apart. And I know that this is sort of getting lost right here. There will be some darkening up to show the difference between. And now I am going to go ahead and grab that Kelly green again. And I am going to put, because the Kelly green is bright-ish, but it's also dark. And I want to put some of this color in to start showing a little bit of depth in each of those pulpy sections. A little bit coming off the centers here. Now this is not going to be a realistic lime by any means. This is a decorative lime. It will not produce juice. It will potentially make someone's mouth water. It's very funny because when I did a sample, drew it up, and I was showing it to my husband, he even said that the picture was making his mouth water. And many people were asking me to make margaritas when they saw the picture. So I felt that that was probably a good sign that I'd gotten it pretty well and that I could share it because I understood what I was doing. Now, I'm not doing hard outlines around things. I might be putting a line down and softly working it in, dropping a little bit of that green here and there, starting to work some of the pulp in, but it's not completely there because I am going to grab that colorless blender next and smooth out some of these spaces in here. I don't want to smash out everything. I'm liking having that white in there from the paper. So I wanted to try and preserve some of that. But I am going to smash it a little bit. But you know, just working around the lime, working around the picture. There, that's helping. That's helping that separation now. Just needed a little tiny bit. It doesn't need a lot. But I wanted to get that in on that wedge as I was working past it. And then I'll go back and finish that wedge out right now. Now I could see using this as a design on a greeting card. Summer invitation to a barbecue. Wouldn't that be nice? There we go. Maybe I'll do up some and share them with some friends that I know like to barbecue a lot, so they can have invitations. You can do that. You can use this. So, have fun. Have fun. Wow. Okay, so we're going to use that colorless blender now, like I promised. And really, you don't have to do this part. You could leave it this way. It could be left a little bit rough, and that would be okay. But I want to sort of smooth out the edge of the lime peel. Smoothing it out using that colorless blender, allowing those colors to sort of melt into each other. And one of the nice things about doing this is that if you decided to do a watercolor background to it, the wax of the Prismacolor pencils acts as a resist and keeps the watercolor from flowing into the inside white bits of your lime. Oh, that's looking really lime peely. It's pretty fun. All right, now we're just going to go and we're going to hit a few spots here and there. But I want to leave some of the white spaces, so I don't want to completely smooth it out. Just like that. Just like that. All right, so we're getting down here. I want to know something. Do you want to have me doing more drawings? Teaching you how to do simple types of actual things like the lime or a lemon. Truthfully, you can take this design and make lemons and oranges. It's all about the colors you're using. The interior of a lemon, a lime, an orange, a grapefruit, a pomelo, a mandarin, they're all the same. They're all shaped the same on the inside. So once you have this basic form down, you can do so many different things. So if I were to find some basic things to show how to draw and shade and color, would that be something you'd like to see? I have fun doing all of it. And right now, this is a hobby. This is a fun thing to do. It's not my livelihood. I am working a 40-hour-a-week regular day job. So I'm a little bit limited on my time when I get things done. I try to have a video up every Monday. And if I'm really industrious and have some extra time, I try to get a video on Wednesday or Thursday. I don't promise Wednesday, Thursday videos every time. That's why I called it a special at the beginning. And this is part of the CAC art crawl for the color of the year, which is greenery. The moss green is a nice one to have if you have it, to add a little bit of texture to your peeling after you've gone in and made it smoothed out. You can put a little bit of texture with the moss green. So moss green. There we go. Just a little bit. It helps. It does help. And you can even put a little bit of that as texture in around some of those pulpy bits of the peeling. Those are the spots where all that oil is, that wonderful aromatic lime oil, or the orange oil, or the lemon oil, all of them. There we go. And I don't want to do too much up in there. I need to stop doing that. Since I started that, I needed to finish. Okay, we're going to put just a tiny bit of watercolor on here. And I have some core watercolors right here. Made some little pans. So I just want to get the paper wet. I probably should have a bigger brush. And this is Fabriano Artistico paper. I got a sample pack in an order that I had made from Jerry's. And I think this is going to have kind of a sunny yellow. So I'm going to use some of that. Let's zoom out just a smidge. I'm going to use a bit of the yellow primrose. Let's just plop some on here, and then I'm going to grab some bit more water. I am not a watercolorist. I am really just exploring this a little bit. And I thought that doing a quick background with the watercolor, showing how the pencil acts like a resist and keeps the color from going in, would be nice. And then I want to grab a tiny bit, not too much, of the phthalo blue. Maybe a little more. And I just want to dab some of that in. And especially down here along the bottom, because it gives it almost the idea of a shadow, but not quite. And I think I am going to dab a bit more. There we go. And let it mix with that yellow primrose. So if you like this video, share it with your friends. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up. And leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of the video. Let me know if you want me to try doing other types of drawing videos. I do like my doodles, and I know that there's going to be more doodling videos, and maybe not every doodling video is going to be a doodle jam, just like this wasn't. But if you look at it, this really was a doodle. So bringing it right up to the edge, and it's not going in. And then just wet that down and sort of let it wander around a little bit. Again, I am just learning here, having fun, enjoying. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you go out and do something creative. Take care of yourself so that you can take care of others around you. Have fun. Bye-bye.